Has anybody ever heard of the Rolling Stones? I think you have, right? Okay, can you name me members of the Rolling Stones? Mick Jagger. Okay, so I'm hearing a little bit of Keith. And the point I'm trying to make is that there are literally there are hundreds, almost 1,000 mining companies in the world. How are you going to remember them? It's very complex, and lots of great companies here at this show, including the companies that are on the panel here with me. But how are you going to remember all those names, and which one are you going to pick to invest in? And presumably you'll invest in a handful of them. But I'd like you to remember Honey Badger as the Mick Jagger of mining stocks. Okay? That's the one name you're going to remember out of this entire conference. You want a little satisfaction? You do not want me to sing, trust me. True story, I was kicked out of not one but two singing classes. The teachers quit on me. It's a true story for another day. But anyway, long story short, to Chen's point, Honey Badger is very different for multiple reasons. But one of them is that we have a 6 million market cap. And here we are on a panel with Hecla that's got a 3 billion market cap. So I guess, it's just a different investment profile. And, I have a particular view that silver is going much, much higher than even Chen is predicting. He's saying $50 an ounce. But I think the missing piece to his theory, it's not missing, I guess, but the additional piece to his theory is that if you believe in global financial chaos, and it's actually happening, if you watch the Japanese bond market or currencies generally, there is all kinds of chaos happening behind the scenes. And the hard assets, of which silver is one of them, will perform extremely well. So, the funny story is I got involved as a shareholder of Honey Badger many years ago and took over the management and the board a couple of years ago. And I called Eric Sprott. I said, listen, Eric, I'm trying to form a silver company because I think that silver is going to go to $100. And Eric says, well, no, it's going to go to 300. Whatever number you pick, Eric kind of doubles it or triples it. The point I'm trying to make is we have a very, very, very bullish view on silver. So with that in mind, all we do all day is think about how we're going to profit. And one of the tricks that I use is I imagine a newspaper clipping 5 years from now that says silver hits $100. And it makes me very, very motivated. While the rest of the industry was in the fetal position the last couple of years, we were outrageously busy looking at opportunities. So if you like silver, you're going to love Honey Badger because that's all we care about is silver. And we'll look at every different kind of possibilities to make money on silver. And it includes assets in the ground and streams and royalties and all kinds of weird ideas that we're kicking about, digital silver, all kinds of things. In a way, I'd like you to think of Honey Badger as an active ETF, okay? So it's a play on silver with active management that cares very deeply about the asset mix and creating value. And to Chen's point, I own something like 15% or something like that, and I'll buy a lot more shares. I put my money where my mouth is. So with that in mind, very quickly, again, I'm not going to bore you with the assets. You can go on our website. You can we have a booth, and you can talk to any one of us about our assets. But again, to the Rolling Stones analogy, if I start talking to you about all my assets, you're going to forget about the main theme about Honey Badger being a silver active ETF, okay? But still, I'll go through it very, very fast. And by the way, before I go through the assets, why we're able to do this is because we've done it before. A small example is I used to be the CEO of Victoria Gold. And when the financial crisis happened, we bought the Dublin Gulch property, Eagle, which is now a mine. We paid $8 million in stock for an 8 million ounce gold deposit in the Yukon. In terms of my track record, I'm the chairman and founder of a brokerage firm called Red Cloud. I'm proud to say many of the panelists were funded by Red Cloud in the last year. And we've grown from a concept that I started in the back of my SUV to well over 70 employees. And we marked a huge milestone this week. We raised over $100 million for a mining company. So And lots. I was a top-ranked mining precious metal analyst at TD, and so on. Anyway, you can read about all that fun stuff on my LinkedIn page, including Anyway, there's all kinds of stuff which I won't bore you with. But so I and our board have a track record of success. You can check that box off. We have a good trap line, to use that analogy. We get ideas. We've looked at over 100 ideas in the last year alone. And, to Warren Buffett's point, it's not like baseball. You don't have 3 strikes and you're out or whatever. We can just afford to keep looking at pitches and just wait for the right opportunity. So here are our projects. I mean, the main one actually is called Cashinal. We haven't closed on that yet. The closing of Cashinal acquisition is imminent. It's 20 million ounces. The regulators will be upset. It's 16 million ounces indicated, plus another 2.5 million ounces inferred, so almost 20 million ounces combined. The beauty of Cashinal, it's low altitude. It's in the Atacama. It's 14 kilometers from a producing precious metal mine owned by very, very close associates, essentially, of ours, called Austral Gold. So we aim to go into production at some point very, very quickly here. Because it's fun to aggregate assets, but it's even more fun to see cash flow. Those are my 2 favorite words, cash and flow. So you'll see us develop that into something that looks and feels more like a producing asset. Watch for that. And again, we've got other assets, Plata, which is in the Yukon. We had a previous speaker, Hecla, talk about Keno Hill. They just paid hundreds of millions for that. Plata is geologically analogous to it. It's certainly one of the best exploration projects I've ever seen in my life. There are 32 drill-ready targets there. It's a very, very, very prospective target. I talked about Cashinal. I talked about some of our assets. Chen made a very, to the previous speaker's point, Chen did a masterclass on silver. I think the additional piece is currency crisis, and hard assets will do well.